What screams pretending to be upper class? I work at an exotic car rental branch. I have plenty of customers that rent our cars and ask us to take the ID tags off the keyring. Understandable. Then I have some that insist they get the same license plate each time and will flip out if I give them the same model as usual but with the plate one digit off. They are trying to make the appearance to whoever that they own the car and get themselves in a trap where they have to keep renting to keep up the illusion. That charade never lasts long. Rich people on Instagram are probably mostly fake rich, buying followers. If I were a billionaire, I would not want to be tagged partying on a yacht, especially not in 2020. The only rich people that like to be tagged on their yachts are stupid kids and celebrities that make a living off being a public figure. Most mega rich people that can afford a yacht don't want people to find them through social media. Struggling to scrape together the minimum payments on a luxury car. Jeff Lowe. Wearing brand clothes that have the huge name of the brand on them. I used to work in one of the brand stores and these were literally made for the lower class that wants to show off. More expensive and higher quality items never had this flexing on them. As a poor, I've noticed that less is more when it comes to casual fashion. $5,000 purse with no money in it. $2,000 bag with no cash in your purse. Can I? Talking about possessions, slipping dollar amounts into conversations. Act like you've been there before. Talking down to working class people. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely snooty asshole upper class people, however in my interactions with them as a working class person in services they've always been extremely nice. My guess is because we both know who we are in society, so there are no pretensions. Fake upper class people have to completely reinforce the class divide. It had to be absolutely clear that they are and always have been above you. Part of me thinks it's resentment at what they might have used to have been, and the other part thinks it's how they think other upper class people behave. This is absolutely true. I used to be a bartender in a very high-end hotel. Our clientele was comprised almost entirely of upper echelon business workers, mid-high-end weddings, and high-end banquets. People with serious money don't give a fuck. If they have a problem, they aren't scared to tell you about it and are happy as long as it gets rectified promptly. Otherwise they treat you like a human fucking being and tip well. Generally, people who think they have money are massive cockbags. These people act like hot shit, treat service workers like hot shit, and you can see right through it. And you learn to tell immediately because of little things like accessories and attitude. People with money never show off the things that prove it, like wallets, watches, jewelry, and purses. If they don't have money, they have one glaringly expensive accessory, and they flaunt that shit. Immediate red flag. People with money don't need to act or be told that they are important. Tread's gonna try hard to make sure you notice they think they are awesome, and also skimp on the gratuity. Saw some guys at a stoplight in a convertible 6 Series BMW with the top down blasting music and wearing expensive clothes. I can see his dashboard. Every possible warning light was on. To be fair, in a bimmer those lights probably came on the day he bought it. 20 dudes who pulled their money to pay for one bottle service table at a Vegas club. Source was one of those dudes. Honestly, if it's 20 dudes, that's more okay. Putting entrepreneur on any social media platform bio. When I see this, I always think to myself, so you're unemployed? McMansions without curtains or furniture in the upstairs. Curtains are fucking expensive, bro. We don't get anything that scream pretending to be upper class in Australia at the moment. Thanks to our mining sector, at the height of the boom, someone could leave high school, get some tickets, and pretty much walk into a 6-figure job on the mines. So the young man driving around in an expensive muscle car, while covered in tattoos, slabs of beer in the back, may not be pretending, but could be a cup, cashed up boggin. Same in the US with oil fields. I had several friends from here in Seattle that went to the Dakotas and got really high paying jobs, then blew it all on expensive cars. Shopping in the curtains aisle of Walmart and openly declaring to me, an employee trying to zone, that we have no taste. I wish employees were allowed to sass back at stuff like that. I used to be concerned about how I looked/dressed when going to a high-end retailer. Now I simply don't care. If they won't serve me when wearing jeans, then I'll just go somewhere else. We took the wheels off our double wide and bought plastic paneling that looks like bricks. That is just sensible curb appeal. Talking about how expensive everything you have is and how much money you have, I found that truly wealthy people don't feel compelled to talk about it constantly. A friend of mine said that a woman she had to deal with would spend $20 on something worth $10 and then tell her she spent $30 on it. Throwing parties every week and calling everyone old sport. All for that girl that lives right across from you. When people act all rich, but they've never even staged a South American coup for better tax rates on their fruit plantations. Getting married in a big fat wedding by taking out loans, borrowing from friends, plus getting super expensive rings when you can't afford 1/10 of it. It's time for that comment again. This may not be as bad as some of the other answers, but a friend of mine took out a loan for $250,000. I promise, I'm not exaggerating this number, to pay for her dream wedding to a guy she had known for 3 months. They got divorced after less than a year, and she is still in debt from it. Constantly altering your pink channel suit to fit in at a country club. For once, maybe someone will call me sir without adding, "You're making a scene." Pronouncing your name, bouquet, obligatory edit. Thank you mysterious benefactors. The bouquet residence, the lady of the house speaking. Taking out loans to get your family on a little vacation. My friend is doing this. I told him to save up for a trip like that. Apparently stuff around the house is stressing both him and his so badly with their kids that they are fighting over taking out $20,000 or $30,000 to go on a vacation. One vacation. Then it's back to fighting and whatnot. Absurd. Imagine knowingly going into debt to go on one vacation. They both work too, which is even more baffling. One of my husband's best friends comes from a filthy rich family, think billions. We went to his wedding a few years ago, and the social experiment that ensued was beyond fascinating. The guests themselves were a mix of anyone from broke college kids, us, to doctors, to millionaires and billionaires. Some trends definitely emerged amongst the people who were obviously self-conscious about their wealth though. They were frequently dismissive, and sometimes downright rude, to the serving staff. They made sure loggers of their belongings were plainly in sight. Your hotel room is literally connected to the reception venue, so I know you didn't need to bring your $1,200 Canada Goose parka to dinner. They also made sure to talk loudly about their expensive plans for the future and highlighting any wealth-related attributes in the process. Oh well, my girlfriend is graduating medical school next year, so we are starting to look at houses, mostly in the $800K 1 mil range. It was a stark contrast against the people who were comfortable with their social status, wealthy or otherwise, who were all just happy to be there, having fun, drinking alcohol and wholly unworried about which stranger they'll never meet again knows how much money they wish they had. Edit is complaining about how expensive homes are in big cities in Australia a thing. Like, we all know decent housing is expensive in big cities across the globe, right? We also all know that the vast majority of new college grads cannot afford $1 million home right off the bat, right? Lol, I graduated medical school 2 years ago, and no bank in the world would give me $800K 1 million financing. Residents make like $55K their first year. Doctors starting out don't make jack. I'm a resident making well under $100K with $325K in student loans lol. Jeff Lowe. If gas station boner pills were a person. My uncle and his wife are perfect examples. They bought a brand new Mercedes that they can't afford, live in a house that's too big for them, bought a caravan in a park where the ground rental is nearly $50K a year. They bought their kids expensive ass bikes that were never used, and what did they use to pay for all this? If you guessed credit cards, then you are correct. Credit cards and loans from my grandmother, which they will never pay back. Then they make fun of my mother and I for being working class. Might as well spit on my grandfather's grave, since he was working class through and through. Edit. I got the cost of the caravan rental wrong by $10K. It's 5k for the ground rental, and they rent the caravan from the site for 35k, so the total is 40k. This was my bad, and my grandmother actually cleared this up for me. Edit 2, as someone pointed out, this number is apparently sus. I'm just going off what I was told. Yeah, financing a lifestyle is insane. Going into debt for luxury items is the craziest thing people do. Buying expensive clothes, or fake ones, and owning a high-end phone, but you stretch your budget to do this in order to make it seem like you can afford excess when you really can't. And then not getting those expensive clothes tailored. If you are gonna buy the fancy clothes, spend the extra $sign to make sure they actually fit. Damn it. Definitely buying cars you can't afford. I'm solidly middle class and drive a Ford Focus. Don't buy one. They're shit. And a lot of people I work with that make less than I do roll in driving big expensive trucks or Mercedes cars. If I can't afford that, I know they can't. I'm a teacher. I'm a bit surprised by what I see some of my colleagues driving at the various schools I go into. Far too many luxury cars for it to the spouse paying for it. Moving to LA despite not being able to afford living there. They should try acting. I hear that's a racket. When every item of clothing you're wearing has a design logo on it. Real rich people don't walk around looking like billboards. Posting pictures of your fancy cars and house renovations, shoes, etc. on social media. Real rich people don't actually have to scream I'm rich to be rich. Most people do that for the attention and views, not because they are rich. When you get invited for supper and bring a bottle of wine, but feel obligated to mention it cost $35. I heard salespeople at high-end shops can tell immediately if someone was actually wealthy in places like Rodeo Drive. Even if you dress up nicely and walk into a high-end store, they could pick you off as a normie. I work, fucking covered, at a high-end restaurant. Most of the time it's super easy to tell. In saying that though, whenever Mel Gibson would come in he was dressed like a hobo and could have easily been mistaken for one. Simply talking about money and how much things cost as way to brag and show others your wealth. I grew up fairly close to my cousin. He's 6 months older than me and his family, and they are what I consider to be truly wealthy. My uncle was a very well respected dentist who built his practice up from nothing over a 30-year period. He retired in the last 5 years. My uncle grew up in a dirt poor farming family and never flaunted his wealth. When he became wealthy, he didn't buy a new sports car every year. He still drives the same sports car he bought 15 years ago. He didn't wear flashy designer clothes. He still wears expensive clothes though, and you'd never know he was a millionaire if you passed him in the street. He owns properties all over the province for hunting and net worth reasons, owns a mansion in the Bahamas on the beach, and takes trips to Europe yearly. You wouldn't know any of those things unless you knew him on a personal level. On the other side of my family I have an uncle that would be considered upper middle class. He always had to have the fanciest toys, the newest models, etc. and everything was is a competition to him. My parents bought a new Cadillac before they retire, and of course he had to purchase one as well, except it had to be better, so he bought a CTSV within a month of my parents, so he could be better than my parents. He also has to brag about his traveling, telling us of the fun he had in Vegas last week, the exciting trip to Mexico he's taking next and so on. In my experience there's two types of wealthy. There is a truly wealthy class who are humble people that make smart decisions with their money and don't treat it like a competition. And there is a forks wealthy class who have to try and flaunt their wealth in the face others as a way of keeping score and ensuring that they are perceived as winning. I love this. Our family friend is a very successful venture capitalist, owns like 7 houses all paid for in cash in Hawaii, Bay Area, etc. 90% of the time I ever see him, he is wearing collared sweaters, jeans and his 8-year-old Reeboks. His wife and him both drive Volkswagens. You'd never know this guy's net worth. Buying a high-end truck with a 7+ year loan. But my loan was at 0%. They sell accessories that you can clip to cheaper iPhones to make it look like you have the 3 cameras. A pack of Charmin mega rolls in each bathroom. Well dang. No need to call me out here. I'm really fond of my Charmin. So far this is the only thing that applies to me. Putting other people down for having less expensive things than they do. Like just because it's not expensive means that it is worthless. Those people need to shut up. Knock off luxury brand anything. Usually watches, bags, wallets, clothes. There are plenty of respectable elegant things that look and work just as well. You're not tricking us, and you're not tricking them, the people who swim in those lanes all the time. I was once traveling through Seoul and needed a belt. I just bought the first random belt I saw being sold by an old lady in a subway station. It had a green and red stripe, which kind of matched the highlights on the jacket I was wearing. Fast forward 5 years, and I still wear the belt frequently. Best $5 I ever spent. However, my first day of teaching, all my students started calling me out for my Guxy belt. I genuinely had no idea. I couldn't identify Guxy patterns or branding if I tried. So, for years I was accidentally rocking some cheap, knockoff name brands.